When we think about the uber famous and successful game franchises, many people think of the usual Call of Duty, Halo, Grand Theft Auto, or maybe even Minecraft. But many forget the 22-year-old game giant, The Sims. Hi, my name is Arya, and welcome to the Simmer Circle, your one-stop shop for Sims conversation. Because this franchise is older than me, I don't have any memory playing the ultimate matriarch of the series, The Sims. But when I was talking to my mom about this podcast, she told me about how she used to play the game. So I guess it's something for generations to enjoy. My first memory of playing The Sims must have been in the mid 2000s when my cousin finally let me have a turn on her Nintendo DS and I could be a menace in The Sims 2. From there, my first love developed. I always played life simulations growing up, but it wasn't until I got The Sims 3 for Xbox 360 that I could finally play the game that I was so obsessed with for so long. In the times when I had no access to The Sims, though, I would always watch YouTube videos of people playing The Sims. My favorite was a girl, her name was Life Simmer. But finally, being able to play the game that I watched for so long was so special for me. I remember I asked my mom for The Sims 3 pets for I think my 11th or 12th birthday. And she had to search high and low for this game because it came out like 3 years ago at that point. But it was in 2017 when I was gifted my second ever laptop, and by this time The Sims 3 was obsolete and the newest game, The Sims 4, had been out for 3 years already. So it was pretty safe to say that I was pumped to finally be able to play the newest addition to the franchise. But from that moment, I have yet to look back, and neither does my bank account, spending most of my free time either playing The Sims, watching The Sims videos, or shopping for custom content for The Sims. Since the game has become free to play as of October of this year, there has been a clear shift in the Sims landscape. So today I wanted to take you on a quick journey of The Sims 4, why it's become so beloved, and some of the controversy surrounding it as a self-defined lifelong fan. As The Sims is a simulation game, some of the main features of the game include, making your characters, it's called a sim, building their house, meeting their neighbors, or more commonly known memory of playing The Sims must have been in the mid 2000s when my cousin finally let me have a turn on her Nintendo DS and I could be a menace in The Sims 2. From there, my first love developed. I always played life simulations growing up, but it wasn't until I got The Sims 3 for Xbox 360 that I could finally play the game that I was so obsessed with for so long. In the times when I had no access to The Sims, though, I would always watch YouTube videos of people playing The Sims. My favorite was a girl, her name was Life Simmer. But finally, being able to play the game that I watched for so long was so special for me. I remember I asked my mom for The Sims 3 pets for I think my 11th or 12th birthday. And she had to search high and low for this game because it came out like 3 years ago at that point. But it was in 2017 when I was gifted my second ever laptop, and by this time The Sims 3 was obsolete and the newest game, The Sims 4, had been out for 3 years already. So it was pretty safe to say that I was pumped to finally be able to play the newest addition to the franchise. But from that moment, I have yet to look back, and neither does my bank account, spending most of my free time either playing The Sims, watching The Sims videos, or shopping for custom content for The Sims. Since the game has become free to play as of October of this year, there's been a clear shift in the Sims landscape. So today I wanted to take you on a quick journey of The Sims 4, why it's become so beloved, and some of the controversy surrounding it as a self-defined lifelong fan. As The Sims is a simulation game, some of the main features of the game include, making your characters, it's called a sim, building their house, meeting their neighbors, or more commonly known as townies, and having full reign over their lives. But because this game is so very vast, there's no real way to play it, and I think that's that's why I love it. I think you can, and there's ways to identify yourself as different types of Sims players. So the first that I'll mention is the way that I usually play is a sort of a legacy player, starting off with your one sim. I like girls because girls are cooler than boys. But you start off with your one sim and you build up their legacy and you build up their family lineage. Some players, they just spend all of their time in create a sim and crafting the art of making the perfect sim face, or the builders. I consider the builders in the Sims 4 community comparable to architects. I think that they're so talented. They can make anything from the most like creative and expansive homes like you've ever thought of, or like restaurants or beaches or anything, anything at all. But this thing about The Sims is it's the community that makes the game, has been since the beginning, because the early days of The Sims 4 were very I'll say dark and grim. Let's put it that way. So the game was developed actually from another project that EA was working on at the same time, and it was called Project Olympus. It was a game that was meant to be similar to The Sims, but it had a multiplayer aspect to it. But this wasn't the first time that EA had tried multiplayer in that span of 3-4 years. They actually released a SimCity game, which is sort of just building like city landscapes, that had a multiplayer aspect to it. And yeah, safe to say that was a flop. Nobody was playing SimCity online, so they decided, you know what? Scrap Project Olympus. We're gonna go Sims 4 all the way. Let's use the same aspects. So you can actually see in the leaked early development photos of Project Olympus, you can see a lot of the same objects and hairs and clothing items that are in The Sims 4 to this day. So which is pretty cool. But so The Sims was released in 2014. Initial reactions weren't very good. I think it got a 7.7 on Metacritic. And for a game franchise that had been out for, I want to say, like 15, no, not 15, maybe, yeah, 15 years at this point. A 7.7 on Metacritic, and it wasn't making waves the way that a lot of people thought it was, because the game came out and it wasn't finished. The map view consisted of like a grayscale rendering of the map that only highlighted when you hovered your mouse over it. Like this, it was a game that came out and it wasn't done. Players of The Sims 3 were surprised when they found out that it wasn't having an open world layout like the games before. In past games in the franchise, it would be like you would go from your home lot and you could sort of go anywhere in the world. You wouldn't face any loading screens at all. But in The Sims 4, loading screens are what take the player to different locations. And that was annoying to a lot of people because they weren't ready to, it is tedious. You spend a lot of your playtime in a loading screen. But this wasn't they were like, you know what, that's different. The Sims 4 is different, but it also, The Sims 4 didn't have, like the other games did, it didn't have like ladders, there was no pools, and even, funnily enough, there was actually no toddler life stage. So your sim would get pregnant, give birth to an infant, and then the infant would age up into a full-blown 8-year-old. There was there was no toddlerhood in the game until I think 2017, which is pretty crazy. 3 years into the game, and they were like, yeah, finally, I guess. But it's just this wasn't the first time though this wasn't the first of only, because in the 8 years that this game has been out, one thing that stays constant is the fact that the Sims 4 team rushes out product that is bugged, broken upon release, and it's not a good business model, because The Sims 4 is a game that it's built completely on DLC or downloadable content. So even though you can enjoy the base game, it comes like, tired and boring if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. But this changes when expansion packs, game packs, stuff packs, and kit come into play, because they add more interactions, they add more lots, they add new worlds. They give the game a little oomph, So, but it definitely adds up. I mean, The Sims 4 right now has 12 expansion packs, 12 game packs, 19 stuff packs, and 13 kits. That's insane. For one game, I mean, this game is now free to play, but for one game, most players are spending, you know, I want to even say like upwards to thousands of dollars on this one game. It's really crazy. And the Sims team actually just announced in their 2022 expo that they plan to keep releasing new content for the game until the foreseeable future. So this is definitely not the last pennies you'll be it's not the pennies you'll be passing to EA. It's not the last time. But kits are something new that is new to the Sims. These are like really small packs, sort of like stuff packs, but they only have 20 items. And they're gonna run you like $7 each, which is, in a game where it's the price of entry is so high already. If you want to have like the most exciting, the most fun experience, the price of entry is like, it's gonna be a couple $100. To add on just only 20 items and be like, oh come on, it's just $7. And like these were announced in 2021. They first started coming out in 2021. They've already got 13 of them out. So it's like these players who are spending this so much money on this game are spending like, more than $7 a month. It's like a subscription. It's like a subscription fee to just play with pixels. It's crazy. And the thing with the Sims community is like a lot of these people want the whole game, because it's like, why not? You're already spending so much money on this game. Like, you want to have the experience where it's like, okay, this is the best that I can get. So, they're gonna keep scratching at your pockets until they're empty. But I mean, in my humble opinion, it was a cash grab from EA, but that's something to be expected of a major corporation. I don't think that's yeah, they're meant to make money. But here we go. It's my absolute favorite Sims 4 controversy was something that happened earlier this year, earlier 2022. It was the release of the game pack, My Wedding Stories. So a lot of the community was really, really, really excited for this pack, actually, because it gave us some items that we'd been waiting, years for, like aisles for weddings and wedding cakes, and as well as content geared towards people who like to play with families, which is, it's its own subgenre in itself of Sims 4 game players. So it was something that was really exciting when it got announced, but when it came out, the people were not raving the same way they were at the trailer. That is no. Oh boy, did it come out? So the pack is released in February 2022, and it comes out. It's broken. The pack was completely bugged and broken. I remember watching review videos, trying to decide if I wanted to, drop my little 20 buckaroos on it. I was watching these players who were getting sponsored by EA struggling to even just complete one simple interaction. Like, it was like, yeah, you know what? I'm good to wait for a little bit. In most cases, Sims couldn't even walk down the aisle to actually get married. And this pissed off the Sims community like no other. I remember being on Twitter in that week where people were upset, ablaze. I remember so many people were critiquing EA because it was enough. It came at a time where EA was releasing a bunch of kits. Nobody wanted kits. Everyone wants expansion packs. And the people really let their voice be heard. It got to a point where so many articles were being written about it. So EA came under fire. There's so many people were affected by this one this one game pack. people were upset because, oh, the developers, they let us down one more time, they keep letting us down. And then I remember a patch came out to fix the game, because when another thing, when the patch came out, it broke the game as well, so a lot of our just like base interactions were broken. So that was a really fun time to play. Yeah, so they had to like come out with an apology. I remember there was so many patches trying to fix whatever was broken in this game. And it's just like, that's one thing you can always depend on, right? Is the Sims team coming out with something that's not finished yet. Not finished yet. That's okay. But it's all like these are sort of more trivial issues, but there was something that happened in the course of The Sims 4's legacy that really did. It was something that spoke to me a lot. So previous games actually used like sliders to create colors. So you could pick a base color and you were able to change hues, change lightness, change darkness. But The Sims 4 opted for using swatches, possibly because it's easier to easier to program, or because they're just trying out new things. But they use swatches, and the skin tones. There was a lot of pale skin tones, a lot of white skin tones, but I think we had maybe five usable skin tones if we wanted to make people of color in the game that weren't like gray. It was like we had 5 usable skin tones for people of color, and we had 6 colorful ones for aliens and mermaids. It just, it didn't make a lot of sense for people. And once my attention was finally brought to it, I was like, yeah, you know what? I I like I've never really been able to make myself in this game before, which is crazy because The Sims 4 is a life simulation game, I should be able to make a character that looks like me. I should be able to have a character that has my hair. A lot of the big critiques on The Sims 4 was that it was a white millennial life simulation. It was for the white millennials, and that was it. There was no representation. The worlds were being built after Britain or being built after, Ireland, but why is there's no representation for people who, I don't know, aren't white. It was a it was a weird time when I was reevaluating this game that I love so much, and then I'm really thinking about it, and it was like, huh. Well, I've never been able to really make myself. All the braided hairstyles are not good. They don't look nice. I don't want to use them. So I have to revert to using, you know, these straight hairstyles that are like, oh well, I guess. I mean, it's the same color. Um, so it was weird, and I knew about this whole white millennial life simulator, and I don't think I've really realized until I've not been a teenager before and experienced things in life, and I'm like, yeah, this game, it's not meant for the minority. I'll say that. It wasn't until 2020 actually that the game had a real like representation for people of color, when the Sims team decided to finally add more skin tones and add sliders into the game to create more customization. Um, and also they were, I think they took a lot of really good steps. They did add a lot of food from different cultures. Like you can make Brazilian food in The Sims now. You can make Korean food, Japanese food. I think they're still like they add a lot more. I think they're working on some African cuisine. Like now that we're seeing a lot of a positive change in this game that lacked so much representation for so long, and we just didn't realize. Um, they're as recently the most recent update until this point was they added 2 new like natural hairstyles. They added bantu knots and single twists, and it's like, wow, like I I can make a world that is diverse as I want it to now. And I think that's so important, especially for a game that is so dependent on having that creative ability and being able to you really speak your mind through your game, right? You can create your own world however you want it to be, and You want to see people like you in your own game. It's an extension of your real life sometimes. And not being able to do that is just, it's not fair. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that this game that I love is finally, adding sexual orientation, because they added like sexual orientation, they added pronouns. It's like we're finally in a space where so many more people can come in and be like, yes, I can perfectly design myself and I can perfectly feel like my own being in this video game. I can escape my reality and do this instead. That's why this game is so important to so many people, I think. When we think of The Sims 4, especially as someone who's been in the community for so long, it's easy to think about the negatives, but for me, I do think it's a good game. I think it's a truly good game. I mean, I've played this game for 8 years. Like, like I've been playing this franchise, all these games for so long. My whole life is around The Sims, and it's something that's become my safe space, and something that I truly value and I cherish as something that I can come to. Like, I want to make my perfect partner and have perfect babies. I can do that in The Sims. Yeah, whatever. Like, it's like, and I think that's the same for a lot of people. I think, like, it's just like, it's that spot that you need, that it becomes your safe space, and it's the same for so many people. It's something that I turn to when I just need to escape reality and need a break. It allows me to be creative and make stories that I want to expand upon and shape. And this might be TMI, but it even like helped me figure out my own sexuality as a young teenager. I think that this game is so important for so many people. And I think that it's a great tool for personal development and growth. Um, and I don't know. Maybe that's strange. That's where I find my peace and my feeling of self. But I don't know. I think it's cool that I can log on to a world and just do whatever I want. I can put a sim in the pool and put a ladder around it. I don't know what'll happen. Maybe they'll drown. But I think, I truly do think that it's something that changed me for my life. And I think it does the same for a lot of people. I don't think I'm the only one. So, I don't know. I guess that's the end of this episode of the Simmer Circle. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant about how much I love The Sims. Thank you. You know what? Talking about what you love is therapeutic, and I think everyone should do it. So maybe next time you have some downtime, pull out a microphone and talk about your favorite game or talk about your favorite book. And you might just feel a little better afterwards. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.